This is the 2014 Subaru Outback. And here we are from the rear. As you can see, this is a very long vehicle. Now the Outback has a basic resemblance to two other vehicles sold by Subaru, the Forester and the Crosstrek. The difference is the Forester and Crosstrek are marketed as SUVs, while this is often marketed as a station wagon. It's interesting they would market the Outback as a wagon because if I'm reading my spec sheet right, this vehicle actually has more ground clearance than the Forester or Crosstrek at 8.7 inches. There is a lot of room under here, so you can take it off-roading within limitations. Now the Outback does come with a V6 3.6 liter engine rated at 256 horsepower as an option, but it's 17 to 25 miles per gallon. It's not a gas sipper. So you might want to consider this 173 horsepower 4-cylinder model here. With the standard manual transmission, the gas mileage is rated 22 to 29 miles per gallon. I had the CVT automatic, which boosts this up to 24 to 30 miles per gallon, at least on paper. We'll get the road mileage later. And of course, connected to the engine and transmission, we get an all-wheel drive system for good traction on wet roads or going off-road. Now in the rear of the vehicle, under the Outback logo, we have the initial PZEV, and it says right here it stands for Partial Zero Emission Vehicle. I'm not sure what that means. Is it like being partially pregnant? Well, the engine's not running, so I guess it's a zero emission right now. The cargo area is listed at 71 cubic feet. Does seem to be lots of room back here. The second row seats seem to fit two adults fairly well. I would rate the quality of materials and workmanship excellent. This is a clean, nice looking interior, even more so since we got a nice beige color instead of that hideous black that I've had on other Subarus. Very nice looking, I think. We do get a nice large glove box, but it works better if you take out this monster book and lock it in the back somewhere. Then you got lots of room to put stuff in here. This is a nice gauge cluster, very simple to read. On the audio system, we get simple knobs, the way it should be. Unfortunately, on the climate control unit, we don't get knobs, we get push buttons, which wouldn't be too bad if the buttons were just a little bit larger. A lot of people who buy Subarus live in cold climates. That's why they need the all-wheel drive. And they wear gloves. And using these buttons with thick gloves is sort of awkward. Otherwise, it's simple to use. Now, there's an interesting note on the computer system. When I first got this car, it stated I had a range of 410 miles. And I've only driven 42 miles, and now it's dropped down to 280, indicating I've lost about a quarter tank of gas. But as we can see by the fuel gauge, I'm nowhere near losing that much fuel. This might be the culprit here because according to the computer, I'm only getting 18.3 miles per gallon in mixed city freeway cruising. That's not very good. I don't know if this is accurate or not. We'll find out as I drive the car more. I did have a pet peeve that I'm finding in other cars as well. The rocker panel area under the door is just a bit too wide, so every time you get out of the vehicle, your pants leg is rubbing on the outer body panel. And in this case, there's a lot of body panel to rub on. See all this dirt? Now it's all over my leg. Now this vehicle was intended to be driven in rough climates where it snows and have mud. You're going to get a lot of snow and mud on here. It's going to get on your pants. The door should be designed to come all the way down, but it isn't. So you're just going to have to make sure you keep the vehicle clean. I don't know why I keep seeing this type of design on vehicles. It's very annoying. Now, in accelerating from a stop, this CVT automatic bogs a bit off the line. However, once you get going, everything's okay. Just takes a while. Now, this is a smooth, reliable engine, but you may have noticed that it's a bit on the noisy side. It's got a high buzzing noise that gets sort of annoying. that CVT automatic doesn't help much. In daily driving, the steering has great feel, the handling is excellent. The brakes work just fine, although in this vehicle the pedal feels a little bit softer than other Subarus I've driven. You'll get used to it after a while. I don't know if that's this particular car or all Outbacks in general. This is a very good solid car, by the way. No rattles or anything. Very, very solid body. Speaking of brakes, I think the brakes in my Subaru worked a little bit better than this guy's. A little paint and body work to be good as new. The suspension of the Outback is very comfortable and smooth. There's very little wind noise around the body as well, so this is a very nice vehicle to drive on the expressway. Great for long trips. By the way, while I'm not a fan of the CVT automatic design, Subaru was nice enough to design this with paddle shifters on the steering wheel, like so. So if you want to downshift, just hit the button. You don't have to press the gas pedal down. A lot easier on the car and gas mileage. Gives it a bit of sportiness too. The Outback is an excellent long-distance highway cruiser. The stability is very good at high speeds. The soft suspension is comfortable. Once again, the steering is responsive. Wind noise is low. And I've noticed even though we're going uphill, the gas mileage has improved to 26 miles per gallon. We'll see if we can get it to go up even higher as we move along on the trip. The good weight distribution and quick steering make the Outback a pleasure to drive on these back tight country roads. And the all-wheel drive helps when you're hitting patches of soft sand like coming up here. Not a sports car, but a good station wagon. As we hit the dirt road coming up, we'll understand why it can also operate as an SUV. This is a rough dirt road with lots of washboard ruts, but the suspension is doing a pretty good job of absorbing the bumps. After 30 miles of driving off steep desert roads, we finally made it to the National Forest here, and we figured two things. Number one, gas mileage is still holding firm at 22 to 23 miles per gallon, which is pretty good considering the angle we were driving at. And secondly, the paddle shifters on the CVT are a blessing on roads like this. Makes climbing a lot easier. Now, if you're taking the Outback off-roading, keep in mind that even though you do have good ground clearance, this front nose sticks out longer than Barbra Streisand's. Means you're entering dips, you might make contact with the dirt. So when going on rough roads like this, you need to use caution on the front end. Maybe that's why they're selling it as a station wagon. One of the advantages of being a famous video maker is you get to afford to live in these nice fancy mountain communities. Let me show you my cabin. Now here's the cabin I just bought. No, not that one. This one. A little big for my needs. Looks like the old Sub needs a bath. If you're looking for a vehicle to get away from it all, regardless of what the weather is, It's certainly an advantage to the Outback. Being able to go to places like this. Now that we're wrapping up our weekly test, we can review the gas mileage figures in the real world. The best figure you see here was 30.3 miles per gallon, but we were kind of cheating. We were doing like 60 to 65 on an expressway at night with no traffic. On the freeway, 75 miles per hour plus, and traveling up and down hills, we averaged 26 miles per gallon. And then, of course, in the city, it dropped to 18, as I mentioned previously. The entire week trip averaged out to what you see here, 23.7, which is a lot better you get when you order the V6 engine. So I think this power plant, the 4-cylinder one we were using, more than adequately serves its needs unless you're planning on towing something. Okay, now I'm going to recap what we learned with this vehicle on our test drive this week. There were some minor gripes, the small climate control buttons, but that's a personal thing with me. The buzzy engine and the wide rocker panels under the door, they got my pants dirty. But you have to understand these are minor complaints. We just list them because they're there and you need to know. On the other hand, this is a very high quality vehicle with excellent fuel economy for its size and weight. It's got a superb suspension offering good ride and handling, and basically a very nice interior with good materials and workmanship. It's a good daily commuter for occasional off-road use. So if you're looking for an everyday vehicle, I think this is certainly worth a look in the $30,000 give or take price class. Now if you view this video on the Outback, you might be interested in watching our video we did on the 2014 Subaru Forester. Just push the button in the upper left screen there and it'll come right up.